In many occasions, you would want to end the loop before it's supposed to. Let's have a loop at an example. Imagine you're writing a program that controls your smartphone to search for Wi-Fi networks around you. You want to retry 10 times and then give up. So we build a loop that starts I from 1 all the way until 10 and increment by 1. So this is going to repeat whatever is inside that loop exactly 10 times. Inside our for loop, we will be calling this function, which is called check Wi-Fi. Imagine that this function actually performs the Wi-Fi search and returns true if it actually found one. So we're going to assign the return value from this function into our boolean here, which we called Wi-Fi available. Which means that if this boolean is true, then we've successfully found a Wi-Fi network. If it's false, we still haven't found anything and we keep trying. Right after that, we just add this if condition and check if that variable is true. If it is, then we just simply print out Wi-Fi found, and that's it. If it's not true, then we keep looping inside our for loop for the 10 times that we want it to. This will keep retrying 10 times until it either finds it or not. This looks really perfect, except for one weird scenario where, say that we actually find a Wi-Fi network in the middle of our loop, say at iteration number 5. So imagine that iteration number 5, our check Wi-Fi happened to return true, updating our variable here to become true. So we step inside our if condition here and we print out Wi-Fi found. We end our if condition and we're still inside the loop. So we go back up, we increment I, making it 6, and 6 is still less than or equal to 10. So we go back in here again and we check Wi-Fi again, which, if we're still in range, will also return true, so that will actually print out Wi-Fi found again. In fact, it will keep printing out Wi-Fi for the remaining iterations in our for loop here. This doesn't seem exactly like what we expected to do. The way I would have imagined it is that once we find a Wi-Fi network, we want to end this search. Luckily, Java offers this keyword called break. If we simply add break keyword here, what we're saying is once we actually find a Wi-Fi and print out Wi-Fi found, break would actually exit this for loop entirely. So it will not continue looping no matter whether this condition is still true or not. This is very handy in so many situations that we're going to run into. In fact, it also works with while loops. Let's have a look at an example there. Imagine that you're playing this game where the goal is to roll a dice until you get a 6. However, if you get a 3, then you lose. So we're going to implement a function that keeps rolling a dice until you get a 6. If you get a 6, then you win, but if you get a 3, you lose. Our function would return a boolean, which is true if I won or false if I didn't win. We'll just call it roll a 6. It doesn't take any parameters. Inside, we'll simply roll the dice using the roll dice function and store that into an integer variable called dice. And we'll follow it with our while loop. While dice is not equal to 6, keep rolling. Perfect. So this while loop would keep rolling our dice until we eventually get a 6. However, we need to check if the dice ever got a 3. So we add this if condition, if dice equals 3, then we break. Break here means that we're going to break outside this while loop. We're not going to keep trying. We're not going to keep looping inside the while loop. It's over. We've lost. However, if you noticed, whether we actually get a 6 or a 3, in both cases, we're just going to end up at this part here. We're not going to be able to tell whether we actually got a 6 or a 3 at that point. So, to be able to decide whether we actually won or not, we're just going to add another if condition down here. If the dice is equal to 6, then we're going to return true, else we're going to return false. So, if this while loop kept retrying until it eventually got a 6, and then we got to this phase here, so we just checked that the dice is actually a 6, and we return true. If the dice, however, happened to have a 3 in the middle of our retries here, then we're going to break out the loop ending here, and we're going to do this if condition, and it's not 6, so it's going to go to the else, and it's going to return false. Perfect. So we could see how handy break is even with while loops. Now let's have a look at an example where you are going to use the break keyword to solve a problem.